Welcome to Midwest Matters. I'm Joe Galvan, HUD Regional Administrator, overseeing the 6 states of Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio, and Wisconsin. I'll be your host for this series of conversations that highlight both the initiatives of Secretary Ben Carson and some of the best practices that we're seeing throughout the Midwest region from our partners and collaborators. Joining us today, we have a distinguished guest, the Regional Administrator for the Small Business Administration, Region 5, Robert Scott. Rob is a friend and a colleague and also a fellow presidential appointee. He oversees SBA operations, including financial assistance, technical assistance, and government contracting across the same Region 5 jurisdiction as HUD. Prior to joining the SBA, Rob ran his own consulting firm and practiced law at Oldham and Dettering in Clayton, Ohio. He also previously served as the vice mayor in Kettering, Ohio, where he remains in service as a city councilman. He has worked in the Ohio House of Representatives as a legislative aide and on several major political campaigns in Ohio, including serving as a state director for Donald J. Trump for president. Additionally, Scott wrote for the Dayton Daily News, Dayton City Paper, and he was a syndicated columnist for Brown Newspapers, Inc. Rob received a BS from Wright State University and an honoris juris doctorate degree from the University of Dayton School of Law. He's a member of Dayton Masonic Lodge, Ohio State Bar Association, and the Kettering Rotary Club. Rob received a 40 under 40 award from the American Association of Political Consultants in 2016, and the Dayton Business Journal named him one of the city's notable 40 under 40 professionals in 2015. And with that, I'd like to welcome to HUD Midwest Matters Regional Administrator Rob Scott. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you, Regional Administrator Galvan, or Joe, as I like to refer to you as. And it's an honor to be on your show. Certainly, this is a great thing that you're doing, pushing the message of what you are doing and what all the federal partners are doing throughout the Great Lakes region. This is something very important to get the word out.
Well, thank you again for joining our show. So, if you can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how your personal and professional background is with today?
Certainly. So I grew up in Kettering, Ohio, which is a suburb of Dayton, Ohio. A very much, kind of Midwest, rustic town, and where we manufacture cars, but it's also the birthplace of flight. A lot of good universities around, and it kind of shaped me my view of the world and kind of the role of government and the role of business and how they certainly intersect. I'm a Dayton, Ohio product, born and raised public school brat, and then went to Wright State University and then University of Dayton School of Law, but always was instilled in me as a, service to certainly your community. Both my parents drilled that into my head, and that's kind of what I've lived by. So it's kind of one of my passions, and as political campaigns came around, I always volunteered, and then when I started going to college, I engaged on that point. So, and ever since, the rest is history. I've always been involved in some form or fashion, whether it be in government or politics or the law. It all kind of intersects.
But Rob, it really is amazing how our youth and our parents certainly have an influence in who we are. They create the foundation, and obviously they put and instilled a sense of service to our nation, and we're thankful for that. So, as you know, because you're in the front lines, we're facing an unprecedented challenge with COVID pandemic, and the Small Business Administration, it's playing a key role, and especially with you at the helm here in Region 5 and trying to jumpstart the economy. We know there are over 30 million small businesses anchoring our economy. 99% of all U.S. businesses are small business, and they employ over 59 million individuals. And that makes up over 48% of the country's total employee workforce. The SBA, you guys, you're serving as a lifeline for small business all across America. And you were able to stand up a brand new program in record time. So can you tell us a little bit about the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, and the exciting news on the new funding that was just announced by Administrator Jovita Carranza regarding the $10 billion set aside for a second round of PPP?
Absolutely. So the PPP program, which was kind of legislation that had bipartisan support and support from President Trump, and obviously administered by your friend and my friend, Administrator Jovita Carranza, who's the SBA administrator, was passed in late March. The SBA stood the program up in 6 days. I was actually called to Washington, D.C. to be the war room director to help stand it up for the administration and for the agency. We were able to push out $349 billion literally in 2 weeks after we started it. And to put that in perspective, that was more loans than the SBA did in 14 years. We did in 14 days. Right after that, within a week and a half, Congress reappropriated more monies for us to push more monies out into Main Street America. We received another $310 billion since. We've extinguished about $200 billion of those monies, and with a little over $100 billion left. The administrator, one of her ideas was, in order to engage in communities and support communities, obviously there's a lot of need in emerging markets, and it's a passion of the administrator. So she wanted to set aside even additional monies within the PPP program for CDFIs and our smaller lending institutions that really work in the Hispanic communities, the African American communities, and in rural America. It's an extreme passion of hers. And we recently announced that it was 2 days ago, actually, that we announced that we were setting aside up to $10 billion for additional loan help for those communities.
Wow, that's when you talk about 14 days, doing the same amount of work that was happening in 14 years, that's amazing. The website was very friendly. People were able to go on there, get the information they needed. And as you all know, each one of us across the nation, we all have a vital role to play to ensure our swift recovery by doing our part. What advice and what resources can you share with your fellow Americans as we rise to the occasion in our continued support of small business?
Absolutely. So I'm going to refer folks, since we're all still doing the social distancing thing, our website, SBA.gov, has a host of information on there, from more information about the PPP program, and also what we call the EIDL loan, or the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. But additionally, some of the traditional SBA lending products that are offered by lenders in your community that you can certainly refer to if you're a small business or a nonprofit that needed capital in order for your operations. The SBA could be a resource that you turn to for those needed capitals. But that's not the only thing we do. We just don't bless loans from lenders, but we also provide on-demand free counseling. We, through resource partners and through ourselves and through SCORE and small business development centers, women business development centers, veterans business centers, we offer on-demand business counseling, from topics from finances 101 to doing business with the federal government to, you can name it. It's all online, on demand, at your fingertips, that you can go to SBA.gov and certainly find these webinars that are out there. So SBA.gov is a host of resources in order to help anyone in the small business community.
Thanks for that, and I'm sure I'd just like to see the number of hits that your website is getting. It must be tremendous. But everybody's coming together, pulling together. The president is trying to open up America to restart the economy. So are there any final thoughts that you can share with the audience about what we should be looking at and what we should be doing?
Yeah, so what I would say is, one, don't get discouraged. There are people here to help. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you hear, I'm government and I'm here to help, and you scream and run away because you're thinking about, oh, taxes and the IRS. But I would say that truly during this time of need and during this pandemic, that is in fact a truthful statement. And I can speak for the Small Business Administration that we go above and beyond for anyone out there to do it. We may not have all the answers, but we will find you the answer. That is a commitment that I give to anyone watching this, that you will never hear from us, there's nothing we can do for you. We will always find you an answer or find you somebody that can help you or provide you an answer.
Those are really good words and words of encouragement, because as you all know, government doesn't have all the answers, but we can provide the links, we can provide the partnerships. I know in Region 5, the partnerships between Health and Human Services, FEMA, GSA, SBA, us, and all the other federal agencies, we share resources to make sure that we can all come together, get this country back moving forward, and making America the greatest nation that's ever been. So I just want to thank you, Rob, for joining us and for sharing your thoughts and your updates on all that's happening at SBA. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in to HUD Midwest Matters. You can watch all our episodes on the HUD YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. God bless.